Hello, everyone. Welcome to GDQ Hotfix and this episode of What's Faster. Before we get started with our first race of the night, I'd like to remind everyone that Frame Fatales will be having its next all-women speedrunning event, Flame Fatales, this weekend. Yeah, that's right. This Sunday's when it starts, starting August 21st, running all the way through the 27th. The marathon schedule is live, so if you type !FF in chat or go to gamesdonequick.com/framefatales, you can find that schedule and any other info that you'd like to see about that. Also, be sure to, check out some of our social media pages. The Instagram has been growing, and we've been showing a lot of our little bite-sized clips from Hotfix on there. So check out @GamesDoneQuick on Instagram to see all of those. With that, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to our runners. So I'm going to toss it over to Leo to introduce himself.
So I'm Leo. I am an English speedrunner. I'm going to be running Second Opinion, which is a remake of the first game, which is currently being run by Trojan.
Hi, I'm Trojan Rabbit. That before was my lovely assistant, Wriggles. And just before we begin, just like to pay my respects and acknowledge the Yugger and Turnbull people, whose land I'm on, and pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and future. Oh, also I run Under the Knife and Under the Knife 2. Probably a thing that you guys care about.
Awesome. Well, we're ready on our end to get started whenever you two are ready. For those of you that don't know, this race is going to be really silly. Lots of shenanigans with anime surgery, and it's just chaos. It's going to be awesome. So you two, when you're ready, fight over who's going to count us down, and we can get going.
Yep, I'm just going to switch over to the hand cam. That's not the correct button. This is going to happen a lot. I'm trying not to do too much of that. Hand cam!
Cool. Well, I'm ready when you are, so it probably makes sense for me to count in, given I have a bit of a fade, unlike you, where you can just press the button. So, if you're ready...
Let's go.
Cool. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good luck, have fun.
You too, mate. So I'm just going to make my excuses early. This is the worst, jankier version with no proper cutscene skipping, because it's the original DS game and it's basically a hardware test. Whereas Leo is playing on the shiny functional Wii version that has a whole bunch of quality of life features. Also, I went to the footy last night and I'm incredibly tired. Anyway, tutorial, just suture up some wounds.
It's funny that you say you have a cutscene skip. I'm pretty sure you're into the operation before I've even got there, because of the episode selection screen. So I think it's going to be interesting to see which game ends up sort of being slightly further ahead. I think because you have less menus, you'll overall probably get further ahead, but I've got the option to skip through a lot of dialogue as well, so I think it's going to balance out quite a lot.
Yeah, but I think we timed it out and it's about 2 minutes overall in your favor.
Yeah, I've just finished my first op.
Yeah, like, you started sooner, and admittedly I'm playing really shakily, but like... That's different. Also, I am using 2 styluses. It's mostly because it's better to play with 2 hands than with 1. But there are a whole bunch of fun little tricks that I'll explain as we get a bit deeper in. The tutorial ones are very interrupted by text and stuff, so it's hard to explain them while trying to remember which bits I need to tap at.
Yeah, meanwhile I'm playing with a Wiimote and nunchuck, so I'm playing with 2 hands as well, but I have the option to point with my right hand, and then select the tools with my left, so it just means that I'm able to effectively more efficiently select tools compared to Trojan on the DS.
And possibly the biggest part of the DS 2 stylus thing is that I can easily select stuff on the left by having my second stylus. In fact, in terms of just like beginners trying to learn the game, they get, a little bit I don't know, flustered or think it's too hard to do the 2 stylus tricks like I'm doing here, which I'm doing quite badly, but minor details. But like the single biggest time gain you get from using 2 styluses in this is just access to these 5 tools on the left.
Yeah, that's a really big thing. Regardless of whether you play left-handed or right-handed, being able to select tools on the other side of the screen, even if the screen is very small, it's still moving your hands around and having to think about what you're doing is what eats up the small amount of time and adds up a lot in a 40 operation game. So that's like the main thing that helps with playing the DS version. I found that especially when I played the game, it was such a big thing to essentially use 2 styluses. Meanwhile, on the Wii version, we've only got 1 pointer, but it's usually enough for what we need to do. I feel like I should point out, I'm playing on hard. That's because Under the Knife has no difficulty. So because it's the first game in the series, they hadn't quite fleshed out some of the mechanics quite yet. It suffers a lot with first game syndrome. So the
and
remake,
also it's Atlas, don't forget.
that too. So because I'm playing the remake, they implemented a lot of new features, general quality of life, as Treasure mentioned. So the main ones to that is difficulty. So to make it a little more balanced, I'm playing on hard. So that means the patient's gonna lose vitals a bit more quickly and stuff like that.
Oh, and a lack of pants in chat. Just asked if the left stylus is a scalpel. It's actually a nail dotting tool for doing nail polish art.
Good.
It would be pretty incredible if you were using a scalpel, though.
I mean, I could, but I don't have enough DS screens. I've only
Yeah, I feel
got
like-
3 backup screens. I'm not even
3?
kidding, I do have 3 backup screens. Oh yeah,
More
I
than
bought
most
3
people.
broken Nintendo DSs that had working touch screens, and I just kind of cobbled them together into this one plus spare parts. Because I have to use an original DS for the capture that I've got. Like I said, this is a thing that came up a lot during setup and everything. My entire life is just bodging stuff together. And that holds true for Trauma Center more than any other part. Maybe later we'll be able to show a picture of the setup we've got at my desk, of how I have this stream going. It's something.
Cool.
I'm now on an operation that Leo's just finished where I'm removing some polyps inside of a guy's throat using lasers. This is a big example of where there's a lot of version differences in the game. Because you'll have seen when he was doing it that there's just a lot of... it's just simply a lot simpler. I have to zoom out, zoom in, drain things. Like, it's a much more complex operation for me, and all these blood pools form quite rapidly because, well, it's not a balanced game.
Yeah, that's the main thing is those pops bleed a lot more in Under the Knife, so it means you're more likely to have to redrain blood. It's a bit of a struggle. It's a battle to keep it under control. While on the remake, it's
Remake.
as simple as the remake. That's good. I like it. More of those.
Yes.
It's a lot easier. The blood is simplified. It's a lot easier to drain.
And it like actually interferes with your ability to operate a lot less. Like the blood is a hard wall in the DS games, but on the Wii, some of them you can actually just work through without worrying. Oh, so Leo's now on an operation that I'm about to start where we have to find a bunch of tumours, drain them, and then Angie's going to ask us to be more thorough. Angie's our little nurse there. Her only job is to yell at us. She actually actively doesn't help. She could be stabilising vitals, by the way. But she thinks we're not being thorough enough, so she wants us to use the ultrasound to check for any more tumours. And we're very thorough and normally just tap in the same spot until she goes away. And because of that, there's some plot-related things where she yells at him because that's, again, her main job.
That's actually one of the first few ops that if I was to play it on normal, I could have done it all in one go without having to pause and boost the vitals as much by using the green syringe. but on hard, those files tick down so much faster. It's kind of
You know
scary.
I'm gonna die.
Oh,
That was not meant to happen. I'm being very shaky, unfortunately. I am actually just exhausted, so my touchscreen control is not what I'd like. Anyway, please.
oh, come on, please.
We were saying something but got completely distracted.
Yep, and I've had to deal with the defib.
Oh, Relkin, the vitals will go down to 0 frequently with me. In fact, some of the times I can like deliberately hang on 0.
Yeah, you'll see I'll probably drop to 0 on a few occasions, though they're probably going to be a bit more controlled than Trojans, because vitals in this game is a lot easier to predict what's happening. In this game, they've generally reworked most of the mechanics. It's a very faithful remake, but in the sense of a lot of mechanics are very similar, but it's still all been remade for the Wii, so overall the performance is better, more memory is available, faster CPU clock, that kind of thing, so they can smooth out a lot more stuff compared to the DS, which is kind of limited in terms of hardware.
Very. Because this is basically 2 GBAs strapped together. But by the same token, we can exploit that ourselves to like limit the memory and basically deliberately lag the game to make some things easier, or stop things spawning and whatnot, which really isn't an option for... Wow, my left hand is just like actively shaky right now.
Just drink more Red Bull, wake up, and you'll be fine.
I haven't finished my coffee yet, man.
Maybe that's where you're going wrong.
I got distracted. I had surgery to do.
That's a fair point.
Playing this real safe. I don't think I've ever played this operation as safe as I currently am. I am doing heart surgery, so I guess it makes sense to be safe. Like, look at that.
That's one sort of big thing they changed for the Wii version, is that doing anything on the heart isn't actually as dangerous as it is in UTK. That Operation 1-8, as we refer to it in Second Opinion, is essentially patient comes in cardiac arrest and they have a lot of glass on their heart that Angie says, oh, don't remove that, that's dangerous. But you kind of have to remove it. In Second Opinion, you might have noticed, I didn't even have to bother about vitals. Trojan, on the other hand, is fighting for the patient's life.
And he's playing on hard, so that should give you an idea of like the balance differences between these games.
Yeah, there's been a lot of... Alice did a lot of work to essentially make Second Opinion more friendly.
Playable?
Yeah, more playable in that sense. It's still an Atlas game, so it's still very mean. But to be honest, I think it's a nice middle ground. Because it has the difficulty options, it means that it's a lot more flexible. But compared to, say, New Blood, which is another Trauma Center Wii game, this game is actually a bit more tame. Because New Blood essentially reworks on a lot of mechanics again, but on top of that, they designed it for 2 players instead of 1. But we're not playing New Blood, so it's going to be a breeze for me.
Yeah, and also New Blood got semi-remade as a DS game as Under the Knife 2, which is my personal favorite in the series because it's a DS game with quality of life.
Yeah, I meant to take all of the sort of improvements that I'm enjoying right now and apply it to the DS game, as well as a few other odd bits, and that's what UTK2 is. I actually really enjoy some of the mechanics in UTK2. I really need to come back to that game.
Very physically satisfying, I would say.
Yes, that is very accurate.
Like, there's a sort of physical, tactile sense of great stuff. Also, there we go. That cycle just took forever to happen. After you clear the first 5 little thrombi there, which are slippery little suckers, there's meant to be a second waveform, but they just didn't want to happen.
Oh, right, you're still on prom way, I forgot.
Oh, yeah, dude, I'm way behind already.
For reference, this will end up being a little bit closer when we get towards the end of the game. In part because I have to do an entire another chapter, so I have 5 more operations on top of Trojan.
Yeah, so like the two big gameplay differences between our games. In mine, my final chapter is a raid where the good guys Caduceus go to a secret, I don't know, mid-sea base, a bunch of old oil rigs or something, to go and save 7 children who have been infected with super viruses called the 7 Sinners. That's a cutscene in his version.
Yeah.
And then he has the fallout of it at Caduceus Europe.
Yeah.
Also, all of these are... I'm going to see if I can...
Those are some good shapes.
I should have been trying to do more different coloured stars, but I got distracted explaining the game. Basically, anything can count as a star, if you know what you're doing. You're meant to be drawing stars to activate the powers of the healing touch to slow down time, but we can just lag the game to do that. The game also doesn't really know what a star is, so I can do things like write words, including POG. I can do most individual letters, I can draw triforces. It really doesn't matter, you can do whatever you like. But back to the final chapter stuff. Yeah, so my final chapter is a cutscene for him, and then he goes and does a more difficult set of operations, but because my difficulty level is different, it actually kind of works out to be about the same. So that'll be kind of the bit where we kind of converge.
Yeah.
But
the extra gimmick to Second Opinion was they wanted to add another doctor. So we haven't really covered much plot. We've just been talking about anime surgery. The main thing to note is that the main character is called Derek Styles. His initials are DS. So that tells you the sort of kind of how do I describe the memery behind some of it.
Well, in fairness, his name is Sukamore in Japanese. But
alright, yes. Okay, it's a little more. Still, but for the second Doctor in Second Opinion, her name's Naomi Weaver, or it's changed. She has an alias, but her initials are NZ. NW for Nintendo Wii. It gets changed to NZ after plot.
Yeah. Also, I should probably mention that the operation I'm on right now, Awakening, which I think Leo finished a minute ago, is pretty much a hard wall for casual players of the game, because you have these 5 aneurysms that happen at the same time, and the reason is you're meant to use the healing touch, which you just learned. That's kind of how they reinforce it. It's your panic button. You use it when things are going badly and you need to desperately save the day. But people haven't learnt that you can use the healing touch, so they get that point where there's the 5 aneurysms that you're meant to hit with a syringe to shrink them back down to the size that you can then cut them out, strike them with forceps, drain the blood, pull the blood vessels together with your forceps, and then suture them. You know, a very simple chain of actions that you've got to do 5 times while the patient's basically dead. But if you use the healing touch, it's relatively simple to get through that if you know which bits are safe to leave them at, so that you can kind of control what chaos is happening. But it is very much a hard wall for new players, just because it's throwing so much at you at once. This game doesn't really have so much of a difficulty curve as it has a cliff.
Yeah,
and it just pushes you.
Pretty accurate description of it. In Second Opinion, they made it a little more bearable. They do it in pairs until the final wave, and then Angie's like, maybe your ability, like very clearly in your face, you should use this thing that you've literally just learned how to do.
Oh, sorry, just to cut in. I'm about to activate a completely useless glitch for no reason whatsoever. Goodbye UI.
Nice. Meanwhile, I'm about to do Heart Valve very fast, and if it backfires, I lose about 10 seconds. So it's going to be good fun.
Yeah, so the glitch that I just did there, we're still kind of exploring the possibilities of what it can
I
do.
lost 10 seconds.
Oh no, 10 seconds.
I know, I missed my suture. Luckily, I got a green, a green default.
I'm deliberately not running my splits.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about it, and I went, actually, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, good call. I've now forgotten exactly what I was going to say something about. The glitch, yeah. So we can, in Under the Knife, we've found this glitch somewhat recently, or at least we found out how it works somewhat recently, where if you have 2 of the call interruptions, anytime a character on the top screen interrupts you, a call button appears in the top right, and you basically have to hit that button before you can proceed with the game. Anytime you have 2 of those triggers happen at the same time, after you clear the call, it will remove all of the UI elements. So you lose the vitals, you lose all of the tools, all of that stuff. The game still works perfectly functionally, and you can still select the tools and do everything, but it just disappears. And it also means that all of the future call interruptions go away, which in theory means they can save a second or 2 on some operations where we can do it, but more importantly, it's funny. And now we're both working on Kiriaki, which is the first of the 7 guilt bosses. The general idea is these little sharks, I guess we'll call them, that float inside people's organs, cutting them up. What we have to do is find them with the ultrasound tool, cut them out with a scalpel, and then zap them with a laser. And as we're doing that, they're leaving all of these cuts inside of the organ, and we have to deal with. And unfortunately, suturing in Under the Knife is particularly heinous because they didn't work out how they wanted that to go. And I've already lost her. There we go.
I hit 0 vitals on the bandage.
My dude.
Gave myself a heart attack. Don't worry, I'm a doctor.
Yeah. And after we do a couple of waves of the infant Kiriaki form, a boss version of it, the mature Kiriaki, is going to spawn and do the big X across the organs, or the, I think it's Chi, the Greek letter Chi, or Ki. It's pronounced Ki because that was a thing in Kingdom Hearts, which is the first letter of Kiriaki.
Yeah, you'll notice. Yeah, you got.
You'll notice that the boss version basically just has more hit points and dives each time we hit it with the laser, whereas the infants, we just have a brief invulnerability and we can zap them again. So the adult forms are a bit more complex. We've just got to keep track of where they move, and there's a little visual cue to see where they dive. That's like 4 or 5 frames for Leo and about 1 frame for me.
Yeah, you'll notice there's a big difference between how we both treat them. I'm suturing the cuts as soon as I can. That's because they do a lot of damage over time on the Wii remake. So it means if I can get rid of those as soon as possible, the patient's less likely to die. I don't have to then sit there boosting vitals, wasting time. Meanwhile, for Trojan, it's a case of just get it out is the best solution.
Yeah, however, we have, I've worked out recently that the invulnerability period for the Kiriaki after you zap it with the laser or extract it with the scalpel is long enough that damn it, I got the defib as well.
Hubris has come to get us both.
Yeah, I worked out that we do actually want to... Oh, that's what I'm doing. What? I'm having some problems here. That's not normal. Normally this operation's already finished. I think I've glitched.
What have you done?
I'm on the heart valve, but I don't have the actual tray to put the heart valve.
Oh, it should still be there, though.
No, it's not. I've got the... This is the other form of the glitch, the bad version.
Oh, no!
So I think I'm just gonna have to kill this little girl.
Oh my god!
Yeah, because there's no, like, save and quit or whatever. So what I'm gonna do is, while it's DPF, I'm just gonna mash, because there's a hit limit miss.
I don't think we actually introduced the games as anime malpractice, but we often refer to the games as malpractice simulators for this exact reason, because we leave patients at very low vitals and, in this case, kill them.
Yeah, and like deliberately getting misses here is actually hard.
Yeah.
Like, because it's very on ropes about what you can do. Oh wait, I should be able to just. Oh. Yeah, so I'm losing several minutes because I've got no way to back out from here. Like, this is like maybe the worst case scenario. Wait, can I just?
Don't worry, I put my channel points on Leo, which means something catastrophic will happen to him later.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
I'm going a lot slower, Trevenant. I'm like actively trying to kill a little girl right now because my game glitched in something that I haven't done in a little while, and I don't have no way to like restart the operation without getting a game over.
Yeah, I have the lovely joy of just hitting plus and it'll fix it. Children can't do that.
Whereas Leo's now about to defuse a bomb. So while I play catch up, you can explain bomb operations.
Okay, so they're very different between the two games, but I'll try and sort of explain it. So Second Opinion, the remake, which is what you're seeing me do at the moment, not what I wanted to happen, uses first these screws, which you need to pop off. Once they're gone, we then need to move some pegs. And you'll see in the middle there's these red panels floating around. I'm going to have to laser those panels while they're still white, and avoid lasering them while they're red. If they turn red, I get a miss. If I get 2 misses, the bomb goes off and it kills everyone in the room. And I then have to redo the entire operation. In Under the Knife, it's completely different. It's
an actual
a case
bomb?
of, yeah, it is an actual bomb, where you have to move some fluid, you have to like laser some chips, get rid of some detonation like charges and stuff. It's actually pretty interesting in the DS version. I actually kind of prefer it because it's a bit more realistic and interesting in that sense.
Yeah. Just for the people who are asking about would it have been quicker to reset the software or whatnot, there's no autosave in this game, and I've not created a save file because it saves like over a minute in terms of managing saves and whatnot. Also, that glitch is really rare.
Yeah, that is
So
incredibly
I was
rare.
planning for it to happen. That's like the 3rd time ever I've had that happen.
Alright, I just defused a bomb. Use my anime superpowers to make the core slow down. Yeah, I essentially just laser it all up. Meanwhile, Trojan gets to cut some red wires. Typical bomb fashion. That's going to actually be a lot more interesting when he gets around to that, so we'll definitely capitalize on it when he comes around to it.
What are you babbling about? Like, I'm hearing you, but I'm not entirely sure what you just said. I'm going to be cutting red
The
wires in a
bomb.
bomb as opposed to zapping things with
Yes.
a laser.
And it's going to be interesting.
Oh, it will be the bomb. Complete blast.
Exactly. Come on, man. Alright. Well, while Trojan's catching up, I'm going to do some surgery on a plane, where I have to cut out some edema, drain some edema rather, in this patient's lung, and essentially make sure that's all sorted. But there's going to be some turbulence because, of course, we're on a plane, so it wouldn't be anime surgery without it.
Yeah, fun fact, in Under the Knife, the operation is called Terror at 3,000 feet. In Second Opinion, it's called Caduceus on a Plane.
In Japanese,
The
it's actually
operation we work...
Yeah, in Japanese it's different.
Yeah, but the organization we work for is Caduceus. The staff of Caduceus is a serpent wrapped around a rod.
Yeah.
So they like literally changed the name of the operation to be a meme after Snakes in a Plane came out, which happened between these 2 games releasing. Little translator joke.
Nice.
When you said you were going to do surgery on a plane, I thought you meant that you were literally performing surgery on a plane.
I mean,
Because like you just did surgery on a bomb. Why not? Why not be on a plane as well?
Yeah, I can see why you think that. No, I was just doing surgery on a patient on a plane.
Well, over the course of the series, we do surgery on a bomb, human beings, a dog, a children's toy, a door.
The brain
What
multiple
have I forgotten?
times.
Oh yeah, the door's like 5 times in one operation. 5
Yeah.
doors.
We deal with aneurysms on the brain, which we also let them burst. That's
Oh,
that's
we deal
not
with a
good
bullet
idea.
in a heart.
Oh yeah, that's quite a common occurrence, it seems, in this universe. I feel like we didn't mention the fact that the games that we're running right now are set in the far-fetched future of 2018. So
Yep.
I'll let you process that one.
And medicine has advanced so far that common diseases have all been eradicated, and now we're dealing with bioterrorism. And medical advances are such that we have stuff like the antibiotic gel, which fantastic, amazing panacea that can basically do anything. In my version of the game, it's completely broken. It heals vitals. It does all this. It slows down the bad guys, the guilt,
Yeah.
which are the viruses like the Kyriaki and Deftera that I'm about to deal with. What I've got are they're 2 moving bodies, a light and a dark half, that move at different speeds, and when they join together, they fuse, and then we can drain them so that we can potentially remove them. In second opinion, it's a bit harder to control their movement, but under knife, we can use the gel, which I was just saying is very superpowered, to basically bounce them into certain directions, and thus make them crash into each other, which gets a bit more complicated when there's 4 on screen instead of 2, and also gets a little glitchy when, everything. But hopefully that doesn't happen, because right now this should be on That's Never Happened Before, not What's Faster, but that's a different issue.
I was gonna say, are you sure you're on the right hotfix?
Nope.
Yes!
To be honest,
Alright,
Mercy
cool.
Kill is far more apt.
Sorry, okay, I just got very excited. You luckily wouldn't have seen it because it was so fast. There is a very, very small optimization in this operation where we're gathering samples for Tatati, one of the guilt strains. Alright, you get a free minute, Trojan, because I ESS'd out of out of 4-2, which you're not supposed to do. You got a 3-minute catch up.
Dude, I had to kill a little girl. I need more than a minute.
Alright, I'm not gonna do it again, but
My
Alright.
Deftera is just like not quite behaving. Like they're kind of stacking on each other, but
Yeah,
not
should be fine.
fusing.
Alright, so about the
Finally
small
got it.
optimization that I was trying to do, which I managed to execute, but then messed up menuing. If we... There you go, I did it again. That was actually like very hard to pull off. When you drop the sample on the tray, you have a short period where you can cut it and drain before the game puts an artificial pause on you being able to drain it. Not sure why. I think it's to do with Angie's talking to you. But in that sense, yeah, essentially you can just about squeeze in a drain before that's supposed to happen. It saves you, like, I want to say a matter of about 5 to 10 frames. It's really not worth it, but it looks cool and it feels very satisfying to pull off when you manage to do it.
Yeah. So just in terms of a gameplay thing, the operation I just did was Deftera, which is the second of the 7 guilds. They're all named after the Greek days of the week. Deftera is RNG hell, and it's just a pain in the tuchus. Leo's on. It looks like you're on Kyriaki again.
Tatati.
Oh, you're on Tatati, which is the 4th one, and the 3rd one, Triti, you would have seen before when he was dealing with the triangles with the birthday candles in them. That's Triti. I'll be doing that in about 2.5 to 3 minutes if things go well. If I explode several times, maybe not so much. But I'm about to do a bomb explode operation.
Yeah,
And
I've been in the same operation multiple times, so definitely take a look at what Trojan doing with this bomb, because it's good fun. So this is what I mentioned about
to defuse the bomb, I have to drain some water out of one thing and then put it back into the other bit, which is the only time you ever drain backwards in any of these games. Then I have to remove these rods from the explosive itself. Always fun. Very delicate. Zoom back out, and then we deal with these chips, which I have to laser. And the tools in this game actually deteriorate as you use them. You can see that I've got like a meter on the side of the tool as I'm doing it, so I actually have to time how I'm using the laser pretty precisely to remove those chips efficiently. And now all of a sudden I've only got 15 seconds left to deal with it, so I'm just going to Healing Touch to be safe. And then I just cut the red wire.
That's
as opposed to using a laser on some hexagons. Also, I got like a super forgiving pattern, and I'm playing it really safe because the touch screen is not very precise, and often I'm using styluses that are not in the best of condition. So to be a bit safe, instead of just directly cutting the wire, I'm going like above or below the wire and dragging up to it to make sure that the cursor's in the right spot. And now I get to do my own version of the embolisms on the plane that Leo was doing after about 30 seconds of cutscenes. Were you doing the ultrasound for it?
Yeah, I was doing the ultrasound skip, which because in our version, well, see, in both versions they do have set patterns. It's just that under the knife there are so many more variations of each pattern that it's incredibly difficult to identify which one it is. So either you can sort of just wildly swing the scalpel around and you'll find one, or you can ultrasound. But yeah, I was ultrasounding to find the first one because it's way too dangerous on hard to not consider it.
Whereas I will be wildly swinging the scalpel around because of the known pattern, so I know I'm going to have him here. And I only need to remove 8. And because of the known patterns, I've already got 6 done. I should be able to one-cycle this under Healing Touch.
I believe. Yeah, meanwhile I have to do a 12.
And
SO...
there we go, I've one-cycled it.
Nice, good job. SO, or Second Opinion, has a very cool little glitch, I suppose, or utilization of tools, which I discovered, where if you ultrasound just before the turbulence kicks in, the ultrasound lingers long enough while the next wave spawns that you can identify the pattern before you can actually deal with it. So it just means while you're waiting for the turbulence, you can prepare to deal with it. It saves all of about... It can save upwards of a second or so if you're spending ages looking for it. It's just a very small thing, but if you time it right, it's basically free.
Yeah, and yeah, you can Healing Touch in the under the knife version, Iris, if you do the Healing Touch before you cut into the patient. That's kind of the timing on there. And then the Healing Touch runs out after the end of the first turbulence or when you finish, depending on how well you do. But yeah, I just did Caduceus on a plane. And now this is Tridey. This is another one that's got some version differences. When Leo was doing it, all he had to do was pull the thorns out and then pull the triangles out. Whereas I have to pull the thorns out, use the scalpel, and then pull the membranes out. Go away, Angie. So this is one where using 2 styluses to teleport objects across the screen is quite good. The glitch is really easy. Basically, the DS is a really rudimentary touchscreen. It's not used to the concept of 2 inputs at the same time. So if you pick something up with one stylus, put the other stylus down on where you want it to go on the screen, and then lift the first one, whatever you're holding is just going to zip across the screen. And I can do that for a number of different applications as well. So basically means I'm zip-zapping.
Meanwhile, I'm doing some research on the next string, because the Secretary of Health, he's been infected. We need to figure out what's wrong with him. And we spend like the next half a chapter doing exactly that. We spend so much time doing this. and all we get is a fancy laser that we can't even use elsewhere in the game.
Yep, they only let you use it in the Pempty operations, which is the 5th of the sins, Pempty.
Yep. Also, I figured out why we hate Defterra so much.
Tuesday?
Because it's Monday.
Oh, no way.
And everyone hates Mondays.
Yeah, because Kiriaki is
Sunday.
Sunday. Wait, what is the... Oh, right. Instead of wondering what the Greek days of the week are, by the way, chat, if anyone actually knows the days of the week in Greek, let us know.
I know them.
I'm now doing Race for the Cure, which is the operation Leo was doing earlier, where he had to find the 3 Tatati bodies. The problem is that for me, it's entirely random, so I have to find 3 from 5, but I don't know which of the patients are going to have which of the Tatati bodies. So I can lose up to about 2.5 minutes here, purely from RNG, and that's a thing that doesn't exist in Leo's version.
Yeah, it's a very nice change that we just have 3 set locations that we can go straight to, and it means that we're not searching around for it.
Whereas I'm just going through a pattern that I always do, and if I get 3 patients, yippee-ki-yay. If I get 4 patients, okay, sure. If I get 5 patients, Leo's a cheater. Daddy's not stinky. My daughter's saying I'm stinky. Oh, yeah?
Should be me, I think. I should be the stinky one.
Yeah, I can't help you, mate. Can you go see Mum? I can't do it, mate. I'm doing surgery on a random person on the street, and I've just forgotten that I'm meant to be using the ultrasound to find the Tatati.
Things you don't want your doctor to say.
Yeah.
There's a big list of those. Such as the patient's going under, alright, I'm gonna go for a new PB, so this strat's a little risky. You don't want them to say that. That's very bad.
Basically, anything that ever comes out of my mouth, you don't want a doctor to say. Coincidentally, my wife's a doctor. Alright, I've got green and yellow Tatati done, so now I just need to get lucky and find the purple one. We'll know if I've got it. If when I go to do the operation, the yellow primary incision line is in a long horizontal line.
We just back up a second. So your wife is a doctor. What does she think of these games?
She thinks I just got a 3-patient race for the cure.
Yo!
No.
No?
My daughter's like, no! She's tried playing them. They're not her jam, and I've just lost the Tatati. It's... Look, she knows that I play them and she thinks it's funny. But we're all very aware that these games have limited to no resemblance to reality because they're set in the far-flung future of 2018.
That'll never get old to me.
Yeah, if Ray ever feels like... Maybe after the break we'll put up the picture of my setup and you'll actually see that there's a medical textbook holding down the shelf that I am hanging my webcam from, and it's actually called Essential Surgery underneath the Lego typewriter. And my wife was selling it secondhand for 60 Australian dollars.
But then what are you going to use to hold up your camera?
More Lego?
Perfect.
Alright, so we don't have to deal with the other 2 patients because we've got all the things that we need, which is nice.
That is really good. Getting a 3-op in under the knife is quite a big deal because that's essentially what will make or break your PB attempt. Once you've sort of settled in with getting a reasonable time, that's what will actually determine whether you're going to get a new PB or not. You might spend half an hour and then have to reset.
Yeah, so it took 40 minutes to get to that point, and I'm like 4 or 5 minutes behind PB pace already just because of many factors, including toddlers.
And murdering small children.
And murdering small children. Not the same small children.
Yeah, I was gonna say, worth clarifying.
But basically, that's a pretty hard reset point, because you can lose so much time. It's basically the same as killing 2 patients if you get the extra 2 patients in that operation.
Alright, I have just finished up Empty, so I'm now gonna move on to everyone's favourite. Funny enough, the operation in English is called Under the Knife, because we have to deal with 5 patients, all have Kiriaki. They get progressively harder throughout the entire operation, and because I'm playing on hard, I can't go super special fast that I'm so used to.
Yeah, slow down, mate.
I'm gonna actually have
Take it
to,
easy.
like... The worst part is, because... So, for quick reference, generally speaking, any percent is considered the normal category, so it's... You just go as fast as you can on normal difficulty. I've played this operation in particular so much on normal, I've gotten it down to nearly frames, which for normally a 5-minute operation is pretty impressive by itself. Because I'm playing on hard, the vitals are going to drop so much quicker, and I'm going to have to be a lot more careful.
Yeah, it's almost like he's going to be playing on Under the Knife instead of Second Opinion. Because the operation's
Almost.
Under the Knife.
Haha.
Oh, and for the people in chat, Neo Guilt is in Under the Knife 2. Second Opinion and Under the Knife are both identical in terms of plot for everything but the last chapter.
Yep.
So all the terms, all of that are the same.
Please, come
Strictly speaking, guilt is a toxin. It's a really, really stupid acronym for gangliated something, 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 latency toxin. Immunolatency toxin.
Yeah.
I'm now doing the experiment operations that Leo was doing. That's how far behind I am to catch up. So I'm doing the first operation, where I'm just kind of poking this and hoping.
Please.
And
yeah.
it's quite hard on this version because it's really hard to see the moving body inside the membrane. So I'm trying to touch this quite difficult gaseous thing, and if you look on the touchscreen, you can see it's just physically difficult to see. That is the biggest area of difficulty here. Not hitting a moving blob with a stationary syringe, which by itself is quite hard. It's seeing the moving blob with the stationary syringe on a DS touchscreen that has no backlight. I've sometimes glanced up at my capture to try and have a better idea of where it is.
Meanwhile, I'm letting the patients drop to 1 vital, while I deal with Kiriaki here.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Leave it for the wards to work out how to keep them alive after you're done.
Yes, the ward on the street, because all these patients are in the city.
Yes, ward on the street is all your patients are dead. Wordplay, come on! Just because it's terrible.
I'm concentrating.
Yeah, but don't you remember I was meant to tell dumb jokes during difficult bits to sabotage you? I was given strict instructions.
It's working. I'm playing even better.
Better?
Yes.
Damn it! Someone send a toddler to Leo.
Hey, so if someone can message my roommate, he'll send in the cat.
Not even kidding. If anyone knows who Leo's roommate is and can DM them, do it.
Please.
Throw a cat at him. I need a serious comeback. I'm losing badly here.
Alright.
Alright, what am I even doing here? I think I'm doing the Pempty again. This is one where you think you're meant to deal with a bunch of things for the patient and keep them alive and whatnot. But we can just ignore that because all we really need to do is jab this thing with the syringe a few times. All of the cleanup and whatnot's completely unnecessary. So, a general principle in Trauma Center across the line is you do the bare minimum to get rid of the thing you're dealing with.
Yep.
And if the patient is alive at the end of it, all the better. Again, things you want to hear your doctor say. But like I've got a whole bunch of little polyps and whatnot that I'm meant to be dealing with and blah de blah. But the operation ends when you deal with the Pempty itself. So there's no need to deal with anything else or worry about it. You only really deal with secondary things if the game requires it, or you need to do it so that the patient stays alive long enough for you to finish the operation. And that's a common theme on things, especially on Pempty, which is what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
If you spend too long focusing on the cleanup, more attacks happen, and you basically go into a death spiral, much like Leo is doing now, where he almost killed a patient with a bandage because he's on 2 vitals.
It's fine, don't worry about it, please don't call attention to it. If I killed the patient on that last one, I would have to do all 5 patients again. That is how brutal that operation is.
Yeah, it's a bit rude. But the important thing is 2 is not 0. And 0 is still not 0. It's only when you're below 0 that it's bad.
Because floating point values are fun. You wouldn't hear any programmer say that. How are your hands doing, by the way?
Oh, I'm good. I mean,
Good,
I'm not
good.
good at the game, but
Yeah, my right hand is a little bit numb after Pentakiriaki.
meanwhile, I'm forgetting the pattern for this operation. What am I doing? Yeah, we were joking during setup about exactly this and how I wasn't going to use cheat sheets and whatnot. And obviously hubris is my friend, because I just completely forgot what I was doing. It's
You're
hard
too
to talk
busy.
and play video games.
It's because I was too busy asking about your hands. You need to ask me more questions to distract me. I need to start asking you stuff and distracting you.
Yeah, like, we're meant to be in this together. I'm meant to be trying to cheat and get you to fail. You're meant to be helping me.
I'm sorry.
It's a very one-sided relationship here. I'm Angie.
Oh no. No, don't be Angie, please. You should be shouting
I'm
sensei
helping.
more often.
Doctor!
This is awful.
Okay,
All
now
right.
I've got Pempty for real. And just as a general rule, this is another one of those operations where quality of life just got so much better in the Wii that what Leo did is much simpler than what I have to do, purely because the hitboxes are a bit cozier, the things are a little bit slower, all of that stuff. Even though he's playing on hard, just some of the operation balance here is wonky.
The important thing to note is on the Wii, the hitboxes overlap. You can laser multiple things at once. On the DS version, that isn't the case. You're very limited to lasering one thing and one thing only.
Yeah.
Alright.
That was odd.
What happened?
Sorry, Angie just interrupted me instead of having the third wave. When the Pempty spawns in, it does one of each of its different types of attacks. The third one is the one that I'm dealing with now, but that didn't happen during the initial introduction. Instead, Angie just interrupted me and moved straight to the bit where I can attack the Pempty. It's invulnerable while it's dark, but when it gets a bit larger and lighter, it's vulnerable and I can hit it with the laser like that, except I was dealing with the syringe instead.
For anyone who may have called it, yes, I draw a star in sutures to close the patient. Because you can do that.
We have fun with those. Actually, we should talk about the suture stuff. So in this version of the game, and only this version, sutures have to basically zigzag across the wound constantly for them to count, and the hitboxes are really wonky. In every other Trauma Center game, you only have to cross the wound 3 times, so you can draw an N or a Z shape, which is why I call them Kiwi sutures. Because that's the thing that we do mostly in Under the Knife, too. It also means that you can do fun little shapes like stars and whatnot, like Leo's been doing to show off, because he's a
only
braggart.
that one.
Yeah, but if you watch my AGDQ run, because I ran Under the Knife 2 at AGDQ 2019, a lot of the time when I'm doing sutures and it doesn't matter or whatever, I will be doing stars or I'll be doing little triangles, which are called delta sutures. which is a 2-stylus trick that doesn't really save time, but it makes a cool shape. But yeah, just because Dooch's got dramatically simplified in later games because of quality of life, it makes me prefer every other game than the one I'm currently running. But
I think that's a common case.
Improved.
Yeah, I think that's a common case across most runners for this game. A lot of the problems for Under the Knife is because it's inherently very difficult and unfriendly. It means that that's quite low vitals. I'm gonna boost those a little bit.
You might want to tidy up a little there. You're in trouble.
Yeah, it's fine as long as I don't drop that parity heavy. But yeah, so a lot of the reasons why UTK isn't run as much is simply because it's harder. It's inherently just more difficult.
Yeah.
So it's also trying to capture a DS is painful. It's not easy by any means. Even just with a webcam, it's less than ideal because you got your hands in the way.
Yeah. So, like, originally I was using a webcam dangling from a lamp to do my DS capture, and now I've actually gone and got a DS capture card that I've installed into an original fat DS, which is why I have several broken DSs just hanging around at home that I can use to harvest parts to put into this main DS that I'm using for play.
Frankenstein DS.
Oh yeah. In fact, I'm using... for some reason, I decided to use a damaged top screen. So I actually have a line in my top screen that's just broken pixels, and I have no idea why I decided to do that, other than I don't look at the top screen.
Is it through Angie's face by chance?
It's just on the top of her hat.
Boo, I was hoping it'd be in her face. For reference, we don't mind Angie, it's just she shouts at you way too much. She's very distracting, and in UTK it's even worse, because you have to press that call button every time. It's not like you have text skip like I have the option to do so.
Yeah, he literally hits a button at the start of every operation, and then he gets to ignore Angie. I'm doing the under the knife operation now, by the way. I'm on the second of the 5 Kyriaki patients.
Nice.
And I'm doing a relatively safe version of Strat.
Currently,
Ooh, triple pop.
Hey, nice. Currently, I'm moving on to Savato 1, where...
Dude! Stop
yes?
cheating.
I'm not cheating! It's alright, Savato 1 is going to mess me over. So, we haven't really talked about... So we talked about the first sort of breaking point for UTK being Tatati samples, where if you get 5 op, it's immediately killing your PB. In second opinion, it's more dependent on Defetera and Savato. Bomb can have some influence, but those two have such a big sway in terms of you can go from being a minute behind to a minute ahead, sort of thing. I was at one point, I think, 30 seconds behind and still PB'd by about 30 seconds after getting some good RNG. So that gives you a bit of an idea of how much this can change a run. So fingers crossed. Alright, we got some bad RNG already.
Also, can we call for the break at the end of my operation? If we're doing the hour breaks. If we're not doing breaks, I'll just play through, but just to flag that as potential time we can.
I mean, if you'd like a break, I know both of you are doing things with your hands that are not exactly fun. We can certainly take a break at the hour, or after this operation.
Leo, do you think you're going to have a point at the end of Savato?
Yeah,
I'm about
2.5
minutes.
That's perfectly fine. That should be ideal timing for me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just let us know.
Cool. Oh, I have a little thing there.
So what I'm doing for Savato here is I'm lasering the outside of its shield. The problem is, anytime it does an attack, or anytime it does anything really like that, I lose my progress on that current HP, that stage. So I need to stop lasering, let my laser regenerate a bit before I can then start going for it again. It requires a lot of small amounts of management. Like here, I should have actually burned out my laser, but it's fine. On hard, Savato is also more aggressive, so it means I'm more likely to get interrupted. So like here, I'm going to burn my laser out because it's faster to burn it out than to wait for it to regenerate. Trojan doesn't really have... Savato in itself is very different on UTK, which you'll get to see a little later on. Cool. Alright, I'm on final phase of Savato here, but I'm
on
expecting
patient
some
4.
attacks. Alright, cool. So this should work out reasonably well.
Yeah,
I can always do
this is
Z1.
Yeah, I think after I do this, you can just like knock out a Z mission if you're not at menu.
Cool. Alright, so burn the laser out again. And if you're wondering why I'm lasering all these tiny little spiders, that's because if they merge, they create what's called a blue boy, or essentially a mature... It's not a mature Savato, but it's a sort of in-between stage where Savato cuts the vitals in half, and also just then can explode to make more immatures, and sort of repeats this weird cycle. It's not very good. Cool. That is Savato 1 done, and that took... Actually, it wasn't too bad, except for the RNG. Yeah, with that, I am going to sit on the episode selection screen. So we go through all the text, because I actually have to do 2 more chapters, so with that, I will sit on Z1. I won't start it quite yet, for that break. Also means the Trojan can catch up a little bit.
Yep, I'm definitely not cheating to try and catch up. Also, my toddler is stamping behind me, going, yeah. I hear you. I see you, mate. Okay, patient 5.
Cool. So, patient 5 under the knife. It's harder than all the other ones. Well, patient 5, full stop, is harder than all the other ones.
No, it's 4 and 5.
Yeah, 4 and 5. Essentially, you have more immatures you have to deal with. You also have less vitals because they tick down a lot quicker, because you have more immatures. So essentially, you've got more cuts, more things to clean up. It means essentially you have to spend more time catching up to be able to actually deal with the final wave. You would have seen in when I was doing it, I had to wait quite a bit. I had to boost vitals to make sure I was comfortable. And Jordan's going to be doing a very similar thing where he's suturing, boosting vitals a little bit to give him some more space. That way he's not completely struggling there.
Yeah, I'm playing a lot safer than I would if this was a PB attempt or I was a bit less tired and rusty, because unfortunately I went to the Lions game last night and that was just a bad time to be a Lions fan, especially after a day of work fixing shoes and engraving and whatnot, because that's what I do for a day job. So, on top of all of this, I'm also a fully qualified engraver. But not a doctor. Never a doctor.
No, I said neither of us are doctors. We just like to do malpractice on the side whenever it seems amusing to do so. While you do that, I think I'm going to solve a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, you do that. I'm just dealing up.
As long as you don't kill the patient, please.
No, I'm good. I'm done.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's say you probably want that break now, don't you?
Yeah, I just need to stretch my hands out a little bit and, well, my back too, because I'm a bit hunched up. And I'm a little tired to do this as a single segment. Well, it's still a single segment, but, yeah.
So I guess we can pause right here, since it seems like you're both at a good pause point. Cool. So, chat, we're gonna take a quick break. You just heard our runners. They need to stretch their hands. We're gonna promote some wellness here tonight. So get up, get yourself some water, and we'll be back in a few minutes to finish off this race. All right, welcome back, everyone. Our runners are nice and stretched and ready to go. But before that, just real quick, I want to remind you all that your subs and your Prime Gaming subs and your gift subs and your bits cheered here on the GDQ channel all help support our weekly hotfix content, just like this show. So, if you've got a Prime sub laying around, consider using it. And, we'd really appreciate that. So with that, I know Trojan has been dying to show off a picture of his setup, and I think we've got it ready to show here. So Trojan, go ahead and take it away.
Just like the wonderful jank life that I live, like so people can understand what it takes to stream from a DS. I'm using an original fat DS that has a capture card inside of it, not too difficult there. But then to do a hand cam, you need to have a camera pointing down from above you. So I've done that by securing a webcam to a shelf, which ideally I would remove the auto rotation stuff from, but it turns out this camera doesn't let you do that. Different issue entirely. And then to make sure the shelf is somewhat rigid, I've got a medical textbook and a Lego typewriter above it, just for a bit of stabilization so the image isn't all wibbly wobbly as you don't want. And then the rest of my desk is just pure chaos because that's the way I live my life. But everyone who has done some form of DS streaming that I know of has ended up having to do some sort of weird-ass webcam setup. Leo's done one. I used to have a camera tripod strapped to a shelf with a second GorillaPod hanging down from it to have the webcam pointed at the screen, and then using some OBS magic to crop it into top and bottom screen. But just so you have a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, this is how you're getting my hand cam.
Awesome. Well, if you're both ready, we can go ahead and finish letting Leo win this race.
Sorry, I got a
I
distraction.
mean, that's
now.
not inaccurate, even if it's a little impolite. Oh, it's fun. It doesn't matter.
All right. We'll have Trojan count us down. Oh, Trojan started. All right, just go.
No,
All
3,
right.
2, 1, go. Yeah, I had a point where it had stopped so that I could do a countdown, but this is professional. This is good.
All right, I'm on the exclusive Wii content. That's what we like to see. I like to see exclusive content. So you see operations the Trojan won't do, such as reforming a broken arm, which seems to become a bit of a staple later on in other games in the series.
It's basically the tutorial mission in every other game.
Yep. And you won't see my hands rotating these pieces, but I am rotating my hand rather carefully to get this all to line up, because basically I haven't really kind of explained how the mechanics of the Wii game works. The DS is pretty obvious. It's you touch the screen. The Wii, you use your Wiimote to point at the screen, and everything is powered by the IR, the I bar, to detect where your Wiimote is. So whether you're pushing or pulling, whether you're twisting your wrist or not. There is no gyroscopic calculations or anything like that. So it means essentially, if your sensor bar is not configured properly, it becomes a mess. Similar to how on the DS, if your touchscreen is not calibrated very well, it's a hard word, it can result in more chaos as well. So we've both got our own nonsense essentially to deal with to make this game as playable as possible.
Oh, fun fact, if your DS touchscreen is miscalibrated and you still can't get it right after using the System Fit software to try and fix it back up, what you do is you run a toothbrush along the edge to remove any excess dirt. Actual thing from the Nintendo website.
Amazing.
And it works. Alright, I'm just back onto Tardy, which is color matching. All I really have to do is inject yellow, green, and purple into the appropriate colored things as they're moving. I don't know if we explained that fully at the time. But also I'm a bit colorblind, so green and yellow are quite hard to tell apart.
It does not help them, the DS version. The clarity of the screen is not very good, but also the game does an awful job of showing you which color is which. That isn't the DS in its entirety that's at fault. Unfortunately, Atlas just weren't particularly kind to colorblind players.
Basically, when you see it through the capture, there's a bit of clarity between what's what. But playing through a DS screen, which does not have great backlighting or color differentiation as well, it just compounds it from something that's slightly awkward to something that's a jerk thing. But you know, accessibility's gone a long way since 2005.
Yeah. That was a bit of a scary moment. I managed to get an XS on that op. XS is the highest rank you can get, and it's only possible on hard for second opinion. The highest rank for Under Knife is S. And getting that is incredibly impressive if you manage to do it, because the game doesn't tell you what requirements it's looking for to get that. It's a bit of a mystery, but most of it is don't miss and
Don't use Healing Touch.
don't use Healing Touch. Those are the two main ones. Sometimes other operations have specific things you have to do. Like for example, when you're doing the PEMT research, you have to let the patient's vitals drop so you can follow Victor's instruction to boost them back up. Yes, I wish I was kidding on that, but that is a serious thing that's required.
Yeah, sometimes to get higher score, you have to be a worse doctor.
Yeah,
And that is just hard-coded into the game.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one.
My personal favorite is that if you want to S-rank Savato, the final boss, you actually have to let it make more cuts during the end bit where time is frozen, so that you have enough points from suturing all of the wounds that it creates.
Yeah.
Which is just nuts. It's like, yeah, just let this thing cut up someone's heart a bit longer.
Yeah, it's not quite what you'd expect. To be honest, in this version, Second Opinion, they also make it so you have to meet a certain chain. So just getting the right amount of points isn't enough. You have to also make sure that you don't get a bad or miss. So getting a bad is just you do the suture slightly wrong, and it still counts, but it's not good enough to be a good or a cool. And it means that you then break your chain, and you have to sit there for even longer suturing more stuff. There is a category for pretty much every other game except for Under Knife. Under Knife has a all S rank, but the other games have all XS, which is... Please. Sorry, I was just missing the incision.
Damn it! I just died on
happened?
Paraskevi 1. I was trying to stop him getting to the second screen, and I went a little cavalier.
Yikes.
There's worse deaths.
Yeah, very true.
That's a sentence.
Yeah. Other things you don't want your doctor to say.
Yeah, just to explain what was going on there. The Paraskevi has, I think it's 32 segments. Every time you freeze it and cut it in half, it gets, well, halved. And then when it's down to single-length segments, you can then extract it. And in this version of the game, it tries to move up to different organs by going to the top of the screen. So my priority is to always try and hit the things on the top of the screen. So that way they're all controlled and down in the somewhat safe zone, because screen transitions are slow. So I actually popped Healing Touch, which is something I rarely do for this operation. And then I still had vitals that were too low because I kind of lost control with a couple of segments where I cut two at the same time instead of just the one. Ideally, you want to deal with one at a time just to limit the amount of objects on screen and, you know, have less things that you need to manage. Oh, that one almost got away from me. But then when I was trying the last bit to try and just push the final two segments that I had on screen away from the top, I had my vitals like too lower than they needed to be. So when I cut both of them at the same time, I may have killed someone. Just look, it happens. This is going a lot smoother, by the way.
I'm currently on the last episode of the extra chapter that we have to do. So essentially I'm gathering Savato samples, because yes, we're actually a doctor for, I guess, the organization who's making guilt, but the doctor we're playing as is actually going to not give them the samples and use it as a way to get into Caduceus, so they can flee the country as well.
She's a double agent.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, kind of I guess, interesting plot. It's very linear. It's very non-surprising, but there are some, I suppose, interesting points.
I mean, there is the minor detail that Angie's dad, our nurse, happened to run away when she was like 5, and it's because he joined this evil organization and helped create the things that we're fighting, and then gets infected with it himself, so we have to violate every sort of medical ethics that exist on the planet and perform surgery on our nurse's dad while she's quote-unquote helping us. And then later we hook up and marry her and also perform surgery on her dad at least 2 more times.
Yeah, that's
ethics.
Yeah. Also, I feel like I should mention, I've literally just done all of... I've skipped over it entirely. I had all of the 6th chapter for Under the Knife. That's just happened now. I'm now in even more exclusive content.
Yep, so he's past the end of my game.
Yeah.
However, he has a bonus chapter that is just more than the end of my game, whereas I have 2 more operations before the final chapter. And then the final chapter is a boss rush for me.
Yeah.
But here I'm just being introduced to Savato for the first time by learning about the infant forms. So what I have to do is I have these little cuts where the little spider is going to come out of, and at any point, if there's 5 spiders on the screen, they can swarm and form into a blue Savato, and that's just slow. So I have to try and get them as soon as possible, but there's no invulnerability period. You just got to zap them with the laser and hope.
Yeah, there's no... You can laser where they should be coming out of, but it's not consistent by any means. It's very hard. Did you get no blue ones?
Yeah, I got a perfect operation.
No.
I just got very lucky there. Sometimes you can get 3 form and there's nothing you can do about it. Because they can immediately swarm the second they spawn. There is like no frames where you can zap any of the infants and reduce the number.
Well, it's Derek's got infected with guilt, and it's time for me to operate on him as the other doctor, with Angie helping me. Ethics is completely out the window in this game, like, honestly. So, but yeah, there's pretty obvious hints that Angie likes Derek more than just as a doctor, even though she doesn't like him as a doctor. Because she's super worried about him. And
this
now
is
she's gonna. Yeah, there's so many questionable things, man.
Yeah. And now I'm on Savato, which is the first introduction of the final boss, which is very different from the version that Leo had to deal with earlier. So I'm probably going to spend a bit of time focus on it. What I have to do is I have to remove all of these webs from this person's heart. And there's a thing that we do called web skip, shockingly. It's a very simple name. If there's too many objects on the screen when the Savato tries to do different phases of the web, often the game just simply won't be able to create more of them, so we can skip several phases of doing this where each period we have to cut the strands of the web, and that will exhaust the scalpel, and we've got to wait for the scalpel to recharge, which is basically waiting for Angie to hand us a new scalpel. So we're gonna do that. So I'm just going to do a bunch of sutures there to introduce a bit of lag to try and get this to not do as much. And then keep that going. As a little bit of fun, I do try and cut these in the order that they spawn, but also, whatever. And I'm deliberately leaving all of the infant and smaller forms alone because, well, again, there are more objects on the screen. I want that. It gives me the potential for glitches.
Meanwhile, I've just saved Derek.
There, so I did a major web skip and I only had a single web on the last phase. Sorry, on the second last phase, I didn't get the full skip.
Oh, you got my hopes up there.
I thought I got the god skip, but no. And now in the last phase, I want to remove as many of these infants as possible with the laser, purely because there's a lengthy animation where they all reform into the main body. And the fewer there are, the less animation there is here.
Kill the patient, please.
Did you just say kill the patient, please?
I said don't kill the patient. It's my job
I
to kill
heard
the
kill.
patient.
Anyway, I'm now lasering the shell away from the Savato, which is very much how Leo did it. But I have a glitch where after I cut it, I can hold the laser down and it stops the shell from reforming, so I just skip a round of lasering it. And now we're on to the third and final phase of that.
Unfortunately, you can only do that shield skip once in Under the Knife. It's a little bit annoying because it would be really beneficial to be able to do it twice. In the first instance of dealing with Savato, you get interrupted by dialogue, so it means that there is physically no way to do it. But on the Sin version, the harder version, we've tested that a lot. There is just no way to pull it off. The shield regenerates pretty much instantly on the second phase. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, and I should just mention that there's kind of a gimmick there where you have to use the healing touch as the absolute final act, because there'll be an automatic healing touch that happens, and then you do healing touch a second time to completely stop time to have enough, so that you're fast enough to inject the serum into the Savato, which will otherwise just kind of be a slippery little jerk. You're meant to wait for the healing touch to reactivate, which means that the tool will actually be dark until you can use it. But if you select the hand tool before the automatic healing touch, you can save like 3 seconds just by being able to draw a star sooner.
Yeah, it's pretty useful. In this version, what I'll do is I buffer the star. So essentially I draw the star before the lag, essentially because there's so much stuff going on the screen. The Wii just kind of struggles to process it all. So if we wait till all the particles have sort of settled down and then activate Healing Touch, the animation's overall much faster and it means we're wasting less time. It's a very minimal time save, but it helps with trying to squeeze every frame out of the run we can get.
Yeah, and now I'm on the Sin operation, so I'm basically doing each of the 7 bosses again. First up, Kiriaki, which is the little lung sharks, or in this case, intestine sharks. Now, in all of these games, there's a series of bonus operations called the X operations, where it's basically the exact same as what I'm doing as this chapter, where it's an extreme difficulty version of these ops. But in Under the Knife, the final chapter is like a precursor to the X missions, and then the X missions themselves are just worse versions of this themselves. It's kind of intense and a lot, and depending on how things are going and how much Leo beats me by, he might show off an X mission.
I will point out I am now on the essentially, so instead of having multiple operations back to back of different guilt strains, in this game they give you 4 patients in the same operation of 4 different guilt strains. So that's what I'm currently on. I've just dealt with Treaty. I'm now moving on to Kiriaki, and then I'll have to deal with Defetera and Paraskevi on the heart. So I get no breaks in this at all. So it's not too bad. It's more of just a pacing thing. But
yeah, that's right, mate. Oh! Can you please go away? Can you please go away? I really don't need you touching my elbow right now. I just have a toddler putting things on my desk. Thank you. She was giving me a coffee, which, thank you. But also, I can't see what's going on there because I'm focusing on not having this patient die during the most crucial part of a very difficult operation.
Yeah, Kiriaki in Sin, it's a bit of a gatekeeper to the chapter as a whole. And then I would argue Pimp T actually determines whether you're going to finish that chapter or not. From my experience, it's just very hard. Alright.
Yeah, Shig, we've played these games before.
Yes. I think that's a small understatement. We have both of us played these games collectively for hundreds of hours. I think.
Yeah. Look, just to put it simply, anyone who speedruns any game has played them quite a lot of times, and they will know the general pattern of what they're doing. And like we are doing a showcase right now. This is a thing where we are making an attempt to try and explain things as or before they happen for the benefit of people so that they can understand what they're seeing. So, yes, we are trying to predict things and explain things as or before they happen. That's something we're trying to do for your benefit. It's not because it's pre-recorded. It's something we're making an effort to do. And that's something all people on GDQ will be doing. And look, it's actually a particularly difficult skill to master, to be able to talk about these complicated actions at the same time as performing them. This isn't like to call you out or anything. It's just a lot of people don't realize that there's quite a lot of work put into these speedruns, both in learning to play the game and learning to explain the game. No. Like I said, not accusing or anything. I may have been a little bit curt there, but this isn't something people automatically understand.
Cool. Yeah, both Trojan and I have played these games a lot. We have a lot of experience with trying to explain these things, because I would say now, if you were to pick up this game, either of these games now, casually, they are an incredibly difficult experience. They're made by Atlas. They're both Second Opinion is a launch title for the game, and Under the Knife suffers from being the first game in the series. So they both have their faults, and overall they're just very hard. So
Deftera is just being a complete jerk to me, by the way. This is mostly RNG.
I got reasonably RNG, but yeah. So as Trojan said, so talking is one thing, playing the game is another. Talking and playing the game is an entirely different skill set. I know a few speedrunners who wouldn't be comfortable doing showcases because just speedrunning the game by itself requires a lot of concentration. And I'm speaking from my own experience about you, Trojan, but the only reason why I can do these sort of things is because I've put so many hours into doing it.
Yeah, it takes quite a lot of focused effort to be able to play these games well, and it takes a different, unrelated skill to be able to explain what you're doing as you're doing it. Oh no, I don't want to do that. If I had just drained that pair of Deftera there, I would have killed the patient, because it goes into a berserk mode when you're clearing it, and there's too much garbage on the screen right now for me to be able to do that. I'm just having a really bad time here. Things are going quite badly for me. It's a combination of bad luck, bad management, and me being a tired old man.
You said it, not me.
I'm only 34. Yes. Yeah, getting out of that Deftera, by the way, was, clutch. Thanks for the compliment, Shig. I appreciate you saying that this is good commentary.
Alright, cool. So I'm currently on the final boss of the game, Salvato 2, where essentially it's much more aggressive, it attacks more frequently, it wants to make immatures more frequently. Overall, it's just not very polite, is one way to describe it. So I'm essentially frantically trying to keep my laser at a certain percentage, keeping the vitals high enough that they're not going to suddenly just plummet, and monitoring what Zavato's doing too. Like that, I got very unlucky to overall save the patient. So fingers crossed I can get the first attack in. There we go. I'm going to ignore those immatures. Alright, no I won't. So the idea being is you can ignore those because there's a period where they won't immediately merge, but that period varies a lot, as well as you could be doing other things in that time. So I could be lasering Salvato or boosting the vitals, but because my laser is not charged enough, essentially, hasn't got enough durability, and Salvato's shield is changing a lot. That's what happens if you let a blue boy get through. Vitals plummet. They half.
Yeah, they actually restrict maximum vitals while they're on screen.
That too.
I think it's something like 3 blues reduced your max files to about 30 in both versions.
Yeah, that's about right. Luckily for me, I don't have to actually worry about the cleanup because I'm playing as 2 doctors, so that's always fun.
Yeah.
I need to laser all these. Lighters are fine.
Yep. Someone in chat just asked if the screen size affects play, and yes, it does. I'm doing surgery on a post-it note.
Yeah.
You can play on the larger screens, and it is not particularly different in terms of gameplay. It's literally just you're doing complex actions on a small screen. That's the long and the short of it. I can play this just as well on a 3DS XL as an original DS.
Yeah, I personally play on a DSi XL. It's one of the more comfortable. It uses the same resolution, so you don't have any sort of weird stretching behavior, and it pretty much behaves the exact same as the original DS. It's just slightly bigger. Cool. That's not good.
I just hit the wrong Pempty. Oh, sorry, Tardy.
Savata was about to do another attack, and that would have probably dropped the vitals quite far. Anyway, so I'm about to suture up the last patient. Time is probably about a minute for me, but I will, as Trojan mentioned, probably do 1 or 2 X-Ops, depending on how long it takes for Trojan to get through the last few operations. I'll kind of showcase what the game is more like in terms of difficulty when you put it into extreme, which is closer in terms of behavior to Underlife 1. Cool. So time is when the text box disappears and skip disappears. I'll let you know when that is, in case you have separate timers, and if you don't, then it's fine. But I think we joked about it from the start, but I think we knew that Second Opinion was going to be faster.
Yeah, as much as the point in this is what's faster. Good game.
Yeah, I guess GG.
Yep. We think it's somewhere between, it's 5 and 8 minutes of version difference between these games. So that's a natural advantage Leo has. Even dropping it down to, even making it on hard difficulty to try and balance things out, just the way Under the Knife is, he's just got a natural advantage there.
Yeah. For quite a while, though, funny enough, Under the Knife was faster than Second Opinion for quite a while. It wasn't until about a year ago, Thurler, another runner for the Wii games, he basically pushed the time down further and further to the point where it was actually faster. And then in the last 6 months or so, I then beat the game on easy and pushed that even further beyond. So it's been kind of a recent thing for Second Opinion to be inherently faster, but as Trojan and I were saying, that Under the Knife actually does have some parts that could be faster, especially when we look at the world record at the moment. There's places it could be faster, but it requires so much skill and precision and time to develop all of the muscle memory to get it all down. It's
a lot.
A feat.
The current world record for this game is about 1 hour 19. Which is pretty fast, and we theorised it would be closer to about 1:16 with more optimised strats and play and RNG. My PB's about a 1:26, which isn't great, and I am quite rusty and playing in, let's face it, suboptimal conditions, but I also have given a coffee by a toddler, so I will take that every day of the week.
Amazing. Cool. Alright.
So now I'm just working on Pempty, which you've seen a few times at this point in the game, and basically anytime it's changes colour and starts pulsing like so, it's vulnerable, and I can either focus on dealing with it, which then means all the attacks go through. That was me doing an example of that. Or I can deal with the attacks and then kind of come back to it. In later versions of the game, it's a bit of an auto-scroller because it's just not quite so aggressive. So it's a lot more controlled, and also you can clean up everything. You're guaranteed to be able to clean up everything regardless. Whereas in this, there's some bits where there just literally is not enough time, and you have to know what to let go and what to have happen.
Yeah.
Um,
So what I'm going to do is I've loaded up my practice save file that has max rank everything. And when Trojan launches into the Paraskevi op, I'm going to do the same on extreme difficulty. So extreme difficulty means the vitals for Paraskevi are locked to a maximum of 50. Whenever I split, it also does 30 vital damage. So if I try and split 2 at the same time, the patient's dead, like 100%, unless I'm using the healing touch, which is what I'm going to do. So I can see Trojan starting up there, so I'm going to load in as well.
I should point out, by the way, Cleese in the chat is the world record holder for Underknife that we were talking about earlier. They're the one with the 1:19 time. There was a little bit where we were juggling world record back and forth, but it was always theirs. I simply have not been as good at this game as they are. I focus more of my energy into Underknife 2 purely because I find it more pleasant to play.
Let's not talk about the fact that I launched the wrong operation.
My head was down. I didn't see it.
That's good. That's fine. You carry on. I'll just try and do Paraskevi without killing the patient.
Good plan. I'm doing the same.
Yeah, you'll see. My version's a lot more chaotic compared to Trojan's, but you can see the vitals are already incredibly low. So I'm going to be doing a bit of a crazy strat where we try and just cut everything. You would not want to do this casually. It's incredibly dangerous. It's only because I know for a fact that each small amount of vitals that I recover is enough to essentially give me more space for the next one. So the idea being here is to just split up Paraskevi as much as possible. You would not want to
I just
normally
healing
do this.
touch to try and get a 1 screen, and then it immediately went off the screen as healing touch activated.
Of course it would. That sounds about right. Alright, we've got a few.
I also just had another one go off screen during the invulnerability animation of separating. Not perfect. Yeah, managing things. You don't need to get these in a single screen. There is a alternate lose condition if the Paraskevi works its way all up from the intestines through to the heart. But you can see that even now Leo starts on the liver, whereas the liver is the second screen for me. But I've managed to get through mine, and Leo is about to finish it as well. So I guess we can do X7 versus Final Sin.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good tie-up point. So you can see I had to spend a lot of time boosting vitals. Unfortunately, in my case, it was just I hadn't split it enough with the healing touch. But like I said, it's kind of a risky strat to do, especially in speedruns. This is specific for the X operations, so we don't normally touch these operations in a standard any percent or sort of hard difficulty or easy difficulty run. It's only for if you're doing X ops, all operations, or all XS, which is even crazier.
Yeah, I'm already in Savato, so I didn't know.
Yeah, likewise. That's pretty much tied up perfectly with both of us starting on the webs.
Excellent.
So you'll be able to very clearly see now the differences on how we both tackle them. Obviously, I've got essentially a harder version because of extreme difficulty, so cuts are going to do more damage. But
and
that
his
doesn't
vitals are going to
make...
sink significantly faster.
Yeah, but that doesn't make a Trojan version any easier for him, unfortunately. He's still got a lot of stuff going on to keep an eye on.
Yeah, like you'll notice that the strands of my webs will turn red over time. Hopefully it doesn't happen too much. But if they go fully red, it'll actually trigger a massive vital hit. So I have to cut them very quickly from when the scalpel becomes available.
Yeah, likewise for me on extreme. Alright.
Damn it. I was trying for the suture thing again, but it didn't want to do the single web on the on that phase. That's annoying. Bit of fun. Could have got away with some nonsense. Didn't. So yeah, again, just to reiterate a trick that I'm trying to do on here, I am deliberately having as many objects on the screen as possible to introduce lag, to stop things from spawning in, which will let me skip some of these phases where the boss creates the webs for me to cut. Essentially, I lag the game, fewer webs, fewer things to cut, game go fast. So here, I'm just going to do a bunch of suturing while I wait for my scalpel. There, and we've skipped one phase of the web, and now we're on to the final phase of the web bit before I move on to the shell that Leo's already doing, but his is structured differently.
Funny enough, in my game, I have to be at 30 vitals or higher to be able to inject Savato. In Under the Knife 1, you don't have to do that. You can just go for it. You have to have that commitment, though, that when it happens, you need to be essentially ready to inject as soon as possible and pop HT, because otherwise the vitals will just trickle down. You are working on the heart after all.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Cool, I've just done the first two shield phases.
Lovely. I think you're going to beat me here, because I need to beat the second shield phase, and RNG is not being pleasant.
Yeah, unfortunately the third one's more aggressive, so like typically in PB attempts you actually do the double phase on the second and the third, but I just did it on the first so I didn't forget it, but I've already done it, so now I'm on to the triggered healing touch.
Yeah, you're going to beat me here.
And just for the sake of it, do a Triforce. And beat the game. So it's not time yet for me. I've got some cutscenes. Unfortunately, I'm well overestimate. I've got another 40 seconds to go. But at least I beat Leo in one operation where he was finally doing the harder version.
I have not done X-Ops in such a long time. This feels alien to me.
Yeah.
Trying to remember
Demonic
what
Heart Spiders, what can you do, right?
Please don't do a triple cut. Oh, okay, you had to do a triple cut right when I said it.
Alright, I'll just switch to my hello. Because we're just doing cutscenes, so you don't need to see my hand cam anymore. Alright, so that was Under the Knife. Losing horribly to Under the Knife 2. Also, probably just to explain things a little bit, the weird decrepit guy's name's Adam. He's been engineering guilt to some way to try and keep him alive and something.
With Bliss is the final form of guilt.
Yes. The old guy is Adam, and he is the main bad guy of the entire series. His progeny are the bad guys of some later games.
I'm finally done with Spot. RNG was not kind.
End time.
Cool.
Nice.
Wow, 11 minutes. That was quite the shellacking.
Cool.
Oh, I'm tired and sore. I don't know about you.
I'm actually not too bad, but I think that's because I've played this game so much. It's essentially second nature now to grind through these operations. But
yeah.
GG, even if it was a little unbalanced.
Oh, we knew coming in, but I've got my excuses and I'll stick with them. More importantly, I've got my toilet supply coffee, and you don't. You've got a cat.
My housemate stole the cat.
Jerk.
I know.
Well,
by the way, the only reason
so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us. See, that was fun.
Yeah, make sure before we move on to the next race that you both tell the people where they can find you.
Of course, Leo.
I'm on twitch.tv/Leo Keegan, or Twitter, the same handle. I tweet stuff about Trauma Center mostly. I'm working on Trauma Center stuff 90% of the time.
Yeah. And I'm Trojan Rabbit, TRJN Rabbit on Twitter and Twitch. I stream really infrequently because, unfortunately, I have a lot of personal commitments. We also have a Discord for the Trauma Center speedrunning community. It's capital T, capital C, Discord. bit.ly/C Discord. Feel free to join us in there. We're very welcoming, and we'll happily teach you casual strats or speedrunning strats, anything you'd like to know about the games. Mostly we complain about Atlas being jerks, though. Just how life is.
Awesome. And if you all enjoyed Trojan, come back in a couple weeks. We're not going to spoil the surprise, but Trojan's going to do something real silly on What's Faster in a couple weeks. So
yeah,
be sure to keep an eye out for that.
Not to say what it is, but the only reason this happened was because Z reached out to me about the other thing, and I was like, we could do Trauma Center too.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. But again, thank you both so much. We're going to start getting ready for the next race. So chat, don't go anywhere. We're going to come back and do Resident Evil 2 Remake versus Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. So look forward to it and be back in a little bit.
Channel points on Metal Gear.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We've got another race for you here tonight between Resident Evil 2 Remake and Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. But before we get into that, just a couple more announcements for you. Don't forget to check out our highlights channel on YouTube, which features standout moments from all of our hotfix shows. Use !highlights in Twitch chat to learn more about that channel. It's always super fun to see the just silly edits that get done for the highlights channel. And speaking of people on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, go to twitch.tv/gamesdonequick if you're interested in catching our live content weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. With that, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Snake to introduce our runners.
Hello everyone, my name's Snake Socom. I'm a Resident Evil speedrunner and Metal Gear Solid speedrunner. And Deshane, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Deshane33. I am predominantly a Resident Evil speedrunner. I do also platformers and Dark Souls games.
Cool. Well, if you're both ready, we're ready.
All right. I don't know what the timing method is for MGS when they start, so I'm just going to get to the starting point for RE2, and then Snake, you can count it. Ready?
Yeah, I'll happily count it down. Good luck.
Yep, I'm ready when you're ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, good luck.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the category that I'll be doing today. Generally, I've seen RE2 on GDQ, and it's almost always been the 120 FPS category. In the top right, you'll see my FPS counter. This is the 60 FPS category. So 60 functions a bit differently because the knife doesn't do as much damage, and so you have to use other weapons to get through the game.
Snake didn't want to pick up the gun. So yeah, what you see me do, you'll see this a lot in the very easy category, is me using the M9 a lot. What I've just done is just chunked the 2 guards, and I've just taken some nice ammo and rations to keep us going for hopefully most of the game. And now we just wait. So I've got a little chill moment while Deshane has not.
So coming up, we'll do hopefully the only damage we'll take throughout the entire run. We want to get bit twice by this zombie. This zombie will put me into caution. So the female models in the modern RE games, specifically Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake, move faster in caution. I don't know the exact number. I believe it's about 7% faster. And so you want to get into caution as fast as possible as Claire. And that zombie doesn't have any arms, so he can't throw us to the ground. So we're going to take 2 bites there. All right, that was lucky. That zombie has a nickname. His nickname's Gandalf occasionally. He likes to just stop you from moving through.
Just been waiting for this elevator to come down. And now, here we go. So, as many people that have played Metal Gear Solid, they know it's a lot of cutscene and codec skipping, so that's what I will be doing right now.
Oh my god.
Open up! Hurry! Open up! Open this goddamn door!
That's probably not fast RTA. This is a trick to save on the in-game time, since Resident Evil games are timed in-game. That trigger for that zombie is a real-time event. So you pause the game there, and it makes it so that the timer goes through, and then you can trigger it while saving the in-game time. But I'm not entirely sure if it's fast or real-time.
So nobody knows what
So you'll see my first little trick really now is you'll see I'm unequipping and equipping. Basically what this does is when you're in event / like in crawling mode, Snake actually moves faster if you're unequipping and equipping a gun. So it's very helpful in the speedrun, gets us through places a little bit quicker. Feels very weird racing against the game I've put 1,000 hours into, you know? I kind of secretly got a soft spot for your game, Shane.
Yeah, I considered... so Resident Evil 2 Remake has a bunch of different costume choices. I think 7, if I'm guessing off the top of my head correctly. And I considered using a costume that Snake absolutely loves the most. Unfortunately, it would actually give me a bit of... it would make the game a bit harder for me because I wouldn't be able to see what sub-weapon I'm using. And so I chose to go for a nicer looking costume.
Yeah, I kind of said, like, if you ran the 98 costume, I'd be crying the whole time we're here.
What was that?
Claire, it's Marvin. How fast can you get back here?
Why? What's up?
I've got something to show you. It's important.
Alright, I'm on my way.
And we're going to be coming up to a section in a minute where I actually got my Twitch name from, Snake Socom. You're going to find out the origin of the Snake Socom. So yeah, basically, the reason why my name is Snake Socom is this little strat here, which I found on a marathon run of this game, where basically we can pick up the SOCOM quicker than expected, which then helps you get more ammo for this fight here. You basically roll into the trigger as you roll through this door. Whether I get it is another thing. I got it, which is good. I heard the trigger, so hearing the trigger tells you got it.
Cool. Not a mistake, completely calculated that I didn't shoot a bullet during that cutscene. That zombie that I shot there is completely RNG. He will either be there or not be there. Generally, you're supposed to shoot a bullet during that cutscene because it frees up the inventory space. I just accidentally forgot to. It worked out because the zombie showed up.
So you'll see on very easy that you basically what I'm doing is going for a lot of body shots. The reason we do this is because they die faster in the body shot animation, whereas a headshot is a bit slower.
sure you've seen in the background, those are my dogs. They decided to come join us.
They're gonna jump on the Shane to give me an advantage soon. It's all planned.
Possibly. Randy, what are you doing? Oh, that is the wrong. Whatever. Wrong choice, still worked out.
Oh no.
So these medallions that I'm solving throughout the run, or throughout RPD1, they're random. They'll be either 1, 2, or 3 positions from the correct spot. And they're an easy source of time loss. But you'll also notice that in a lot of other Resident Evil games, most of these aren't random. So it's kind of an interesting choice to go for these medallions being random in this one. Like most puzzles in other RE games are set. RE3OG being an exclusion of that.
Right, so yeah, we're basically in a bit of a... This game is very much like a big boss rush, and it seems like every, 10 minutes you're in a boss fight. So, yeah, we're coming up... We've just fought our first one. We're now about to face another one called Tank. And I've seen him in chat. Josh Sandwich loves the Tank. It's never caused him any stress whatsoever.
And I'm coming up on the first boss of the run, which is where you'll start seeing the major differences between 60 and 120 FPS, if you're familiar with Resident Evil 2 speedrunning. On 120, this boss dies in about 14 to 19 hits. This is more like 31 to 39.
This boss that I'm about to face, the Tank, is very triggering and can cause a lot of issues on a speedrun. So I'm going to try and keep my cool as much as possible. It's already gone wrong. My best friend, this fight.
Something I'm going to mention as well, I haven't mentioned before in terms of movement for this game. There's a tech called stair skating, which is what you see me do whenever going up or down stairs when I'm aiming my gun. In a specific rhythm, it sets up a specific animation for Claire so that she moves up the stairs faster, or down the stairs faster. And it works for all characters as well. Leon.
A few issues, this was fine. Yeah, when this goes wrong, it goes terribly wrong, and you're seeing that right now.
Remember not to quote the line. It's something that happens on it. So something that many new runners of the game don't know about that line I took there. If you quick turn through the door, which is one of the movement tests that we do where I aim the gun like this, so I can turn quicker. If you quick turn through the door where those liquors are, you'll end up getting hit. The liquor will go to the ceiling, then you'll end up getting hit. And that shot I did lures the lickers towards the door and allows me to run through free.
I forgot to explain a quick strat I did there. You see me clip through the door. It basically saves a codec call, which saves like 10 seconds. And the strat basically is we hold a certain direction while switching off the weapon and on
See
again.
where that guy came from.
And you'll be seeing a lot through the run that we're using like unequip, and it equips a different weapon. The way we do this is in the menu at the start of the game, we have a certain setting that rather than pressing unequip, changing it to no weapon, it actually changes it to like the previous weapon you had. So you'll see it in a second, like you see how M9 switches to Nikita. It helps us with lots of boss strats, which is really good. And you're going to see it at its best moment in this fight, because we're coming up to the ninja, where this is very prominent in why we need it to be like this, because it helps us skip a couple of phases. If I do it right. So what you're seeing is we're swapping to the Nikita, and basically what it does is you get some extra damage with the Nikita as you're doing the kick.
One's favorite enemy is coming up right now. Everyone's favorite pursuer in Resident Evil. Well, I guess Nemesis is probably everyone's favorite, but second favorite.
What the hell is up with you? Jesus, stay back!
So I lined up on a specific spot with that broken wall, and it makes Mr. X run past you. And this is a shout out to DJ ATC, another RE runner. That shot should, in theory, make Mr. X not show up at this door. This is a heavy reset point, because generally you don't do that shot because it saves like half a second not to do it. And also bullet. Bullet management is very important in this category because you normally run around with just 5 bullets throughout most of the game.
Right, so now we're gonna head back up to the B1 where we got the Nikita from. There's gonna be one of our friends there, but they're disguised as someone. So we're gonna find a way to sort of get them out of their disguise so we can have a little chat with them. We're not gonna go in any places where men shouldn't. Maybe.
And that other shot I did right before the library door draws attention of the zombies towards the sound of the shot and allows you to move those bookshelves without being stopped by the zombies.
Wait, why is Snake going into the females' toilets? That's not allowed, Snake. Men, eh? He just couldn't keep away from Meryl, so he just had to follow her in there. Someone would say it's very sus to be heading into the female toilets as a man. Snake cannot be trusted.
That worked.
I messed that up a bit.
Thankfully, on 60, you use your knives as defensive weapons, like the game allows you to. On 120, generally, you need every knife you pick up.
Oh, that wasn't very smart, Snake. So we're going to use a specific strat here. We do a certain amount of damage to Mantis to make sure we can skip a phase of Meryl. And it means we have to do damage in a certain way to him. So you'll see I'll be aiming for his lower left leg a lot. For some reason, that's a critical point. And you'll see, rather than her shoot me there, she just fell straight away. That's because we've done a certain amount of damage to Mantis.
Alright, thankfully that's a Claire's campaign has 4 RNG puzzles, Leon's campaign has 3 RNG puzzles. But then everything after this is just set, which makes them a lot easier to do quickly.
That puzzle is the biggest PTSD I ever have on a Resident Evil speedrun. So you'll get a 1 change and then you'll run against that 1 change and realise you've got forever time loss.
So this is the Sherry section. I guess for those who don't know the story, essentially Sherry just got kidnapped by Chief Irons. This is a very nice 4-minute break because not really a lot goes on. It ends up becoming an auto scroller. I do a little wiggle here because Sherry moves a little bit faster. I'm not entirely sure. Possibly maybe just a half a second per up and down. Might be just a quarter of a second, but it still saves a little bit of time. And Chief Irons is not a very nice person. He likes to swear a lot.
Yes, Irons has got pie mouth. It's a bit like they went with the remakes and decided, you know what, swearing's allowed nowadays. What's your favourite part of the run for Re2 Remake, Deshane?
It's a good question.
Don't say the end.
No, I actually have to think because I've run so many different categories. I should probably crouch just for safety. The reason he didn't see me there is because his vision's based off of his flashlight, and I was hiding behind this coffee machine here. I think sewers. This is gonna probably sound crazy to the 2 make runners.
I'm literally looking at you right now like, he's not saying sewers, is he?
Sewers is probably my favorite part. So Claire has difficult shots to make in sewers. But after sewers, you kind of just run past a bunch of stuff. Like, the RNG can get annoying, but sewers is probably my favorite part. Labs, you have to deal with the lab liquor section, which is probably everyone's least favorite part of the run. But sewers, G-Addles are generally, I don't know, they've been nice to me in the past. Now that I've said that, I'm probably going to get grabbed. But sewers is probably my favorite part.
I'm literally looking at you like, what has he just said? I suppose with the spark shot actually on 60, quite nice.
If I remember to use the spark shot on the exit, yes. I've so far been stuck in 120 brain where you just have to bait out an attack and run past.
Would you be saying the same if you were running Leon? That's a good question.
No, I guess Ada section is probably not too bad. It's mostly as execution based. It's more interesting in the Sherry section. I mean, I guess I do the same strat on Leon too. I just run past the G. I don't need to do the shock because it never works for me.
Yeah. Right, RNG. Hell yeah, here we go. Please be nice. Nice. She didn't hide behind the pole once. That was very nice. So yeah, she can hide behind that middle like pole, where which makes it like lose like 10 seconds there. Sometimes she can hide there like 2 or 3 times. It's not very nice.
I can tell you my least favorite part of the player run. It's coming up right now.
I thought you'd have said Lablicker, so that.
No. It's this door after the Sherry section.
Oh yeah, the door of hell.
This door is a very easy way to lose 2 seconds. That actually went incredibly well. It's just because it's a bit disorienting when you're trying to exit that area.
Especially when you're on like good pace, you're like, oh no, this door's coming. I'm gonna lose like 2 seconds. That door is literally like the hardest boss in the game, in my opinion.
Oh, damn. I caught a cold. That witch. She took my clothes. Hey.
Do you have a favorite category on this game?
I ran too many. I don't know.
Yeah, there is a lot.
Hey.
Honestly, I probably would have to say Claire A60. It's the first category I actually started running. Like, I learned Leon A60, but my computer wasn't liking it, and for some reason Claire 60 worked better, so I put more effort into Claire 60, and it ended up becoming one of my favorite runs. Even though most RE2 runners will make jokes about the spark shot, because the weapon has issues with dropping your damage occasionally.
Yeah.
What about you, Snake? What's your favorite part of Twin Snakes Run?
What's my favorite part of Twin Snakes? I just say like all the boss fights seem I really like the boss fights because they've all got their own specific tech, which makes it pretty cool. The favorite category is probably normal. Like I was saying in pre-chat, us elitists prefer normal over very easy.
So I know you're both horror game runners, and if I know anything about horror game runners, it's that you run a million different scary video games. So what are each of your favorite horror speed runs?
I'm probably gonna go with the one that I've been grinding the most recent, RE7. Mainly, so in terms of horror speedruns, the ones that I've done so far have been a lot of RNG. Like I've taken a chance at RE3OG. I never finished a run. I've done RE3R, RE8, RE6. but RE7 is definitely probably the scariest and best run to do. There's a lot of execution going on, ammo management, a lot of thinking to do, and like new game easy. So it's probably my favorite.
Keep going.
What was the question again? Sorry, I messed up in my game, so I'm sorry.
Your favorite horror game speedrun?
Oh, is it? I'm gonna sound really boring because it's being shown right now, but 2 remake all day long. I know this is a really boring answer.
No, I mean you're not the one running it. Totally unexpected answer.
This run's actually being very nice today. I'm incredibly happy. Something that I wanted to talk about, and I completely forgot because I've been, running. RE games after Resident Evil 4 have a system in place called difficulty adjustment, or DA for short. Oh, didn't get that. Okay, give me a second. And I'll go over DA to get more. Got incredibly lucky there. Sometimes those zombies you can just flick to the left and throw them off of you. Not very consistent. Sorry, difficulty adjustment. So, in Resident Evil 2 Remake specifically, picking up items raises your difficulty adjustment, non-key items, as well as taking damage will lower it, shooting bullets will lower it. 60 is different than 120 in that we don't want to take any damage. We need around around a 7 DA. The DA ranks go up from 2 to 9. You want 7 in labs. Otherwise, the quick kill for the third boss doesn't work. You have to do a backup strat. Thankfully, this run has been going incredibly well, and I haven't gotten bitten yet.
Yeah, so I forgot to put the ketchup down, which lost me a lot of time. But then you probably all see me do a little fist bump as I got the like the skip, which is like we roll into the box and it skips just like the whole cutscene, and it then skips a cutscene and a codec call a bit later. So although I made a mistake, I still got the skip, so I was a bit happy.
I love that I said my favorite part is sewers, and sewers has gotten very important already. Still my favorite part. There's a lot going on in this section. Oh, cool. This is not great RNG. Oh, wait, maybe. There is... Alright, this should be fine. So, those zombies are random. Something that I can say right now, because that zombie in the high visibility vest is above the water, he's going to be blocking the door on my way back. So I'm going to have to keep that into account. It's just something you end up learning. You have to learn the game a lot to be able to guess where they're going to be based off of where they were. So he'll be blocking the staircase or like right in front of it. Either way, it'll be a dangerous way back.
Yeah, so that's where, like I said, the skip, we usually get a cutscene and a codec call right here, but we've managed to skip it because of what I did earlier, so it saves us about 10 seconds, which is nice. Always like time save. It's our favourite thing as a speedrunner, time save. We don't see it often, unfortunately. A shame. They've said if we tie, we have to raise another game, and the suggestion is Leon B Hardcore. Oh, I don't know about you. I think I'd rather maybe just let you win.
Leon B hardcore. I don't think I've done B. Let's see, I've done A hardcore. That was a rough run. Hardcore has double lunging zombies, and your DA is maxed out at 9, so your weapons do almost no damage, so it's very difficult.
Leon B is not to be messed with. I'm sure that's like the hardest run in Resident Evil 2 in my opinion.
Player B 60 hardcore.
B 60. But what about the Leon?
Sorry, my bad. Player B 60 hardcore knife only. That would probably be a pretty hard run.
But then you can just swap that to Leon B, who knifes a lot worse than Claire.
Oh, you know what? No, you got it right. Leon B hardcore. Leon B would have prison to deal with. Snake's right on this one. Oh, he's actually in a good spot. That's good.
It's not often I'm right, so I'll take the one.
All right. Like I said, he'd be either on the staircase or right in front. He was far enough back that I was able to actually go through.
So we're now going to do a rappel down, and this has like a nice strap that makes it go really fast. So we basically do like a certain set of movements. It's like down, down, then to the left and to the right, and it makes it a bit more easier for us and quicker. But I did it wrong because I'm under pressure.
You got this, Snake. I'm gonna focus because this boss fight is big.
For some reason, Snake is not moving. There we go.
I'm gonna go for the safe strat.
And you'll see in a moment, Snake should drop down, yeah. So we do it into a certain place, and it makes it just skip it straight away, which is really good for us.
Oh, thankfully. Sorry, too fast. So I went for the safer but slower strat. Generally for this boss, you would hit the button, walk out in front, and spark him. I just didn't want to take a chance to die. The autosave for dying here isn't very good.
Just to answer that question in chat, no, Twin Snakes doesn't have the Boba skip that was found, unfortunately. It would have been nice to skip a bunch of stuff, but unfortunately, no. That is exclusive to MGS1 Original.
Annette said her lab's not far. Wait, that cable car. Hold on, Sherry. You're gonna be fine. Almost there, Sherry. We're almost there. Good. The cable car.
Thanks.
Okay. Better check everything. There's no turning
You know, I
back.
should be fine. So another thing about this run in particular, well, I guess any like speedrun involving an inventory is trying to understand what your inventory is going to look like or how many items you have space for. And I'm big on speaking my thoughts
Getting the
aloud
treatment. Just hold on,
Yeah.
Sherry.
for these runs.
Inventory is very difficult to manage in certain games. I find Re2 Remake the hardest to like work it out. Like,
Yeah,
just
inventory in
remember.
this game. Sorry,
No, you go on.
inventory in this game is super important because you want everything within one key press generally, so that it goes by faster.
Welcome to Nest. Enjoy your visit.
So we're now fighting Liquid in the Hind D, and this is the possibly one of the worst fights in the game. The first phase is very simple and easy. It's just a case of following around where he's going to be, and then he will go over here and fire this missile. Now the second phase, which is coming up, is the hardest part, because he can go and hide underneath here for a long time, and it becomes very frustrating as a speedrunner when he's doing that. You have to be very like precise with your shots and get them right.
Should come.
Please combine the items. Thank you.
Nice. So I got that right. I don't know where it's gone now.
So in labs on 60 FPS, this is something most RA2R runners do not want to be in. We're at 7,000 DA. So 7,000. Once you reach the 7 DA setting in this game, zombies begin to tank headshots. It's no longer just one headshot to make a zombie stunned. It's 2, 3, 4. As well as they can start to. I'm not sure if it's at 7 or if it's at 8, where they start to double lunge. So that's why that zombie took like 4 headshots. One of those missed. I hit his armor on his neck.
So that is Hind D defeated. That actually went quite well considering. So I'd be happy with that in a run.
Okay, this is one of the most stressful parts of any RA2R run, I would think.
Dispense.
Because I'm coming up on the lab liquor section. Many runs are lost to this section. And it's a significant time loss if you die, because it's like a 2-minute walk back. You're not allowed to load autosaves in RA2R speedruns. Some RE games have retries that are allowed because it doesn't change the in-game time. Resident Evil 2 Remake, if you load an autosave, your in-game time gets rolled back. So autosaves aren't allowed. But if you die, the timer continues from where your time is at.
Yeah. I remember not knowing that until I loaded an autosave on like a practice run, and I was like, oh, it resets the game time. Nice. Obviously knowing I couldn't submit it, but I just didn't know that it reset the game time. So I'm going to have to do this fight differently because I messed up on the C4s earlier. So usually you just put a C4 and it blows them all up straight away. However, I've got no C4s, so I'm going to have to actually kill these normally. It's still fairly quick. And now we head into Wolf 2, which is another RNG fight, and she can hide behind the trees, making this longer than it should be. And that can be very upsetting as a runner. Again, hatred for time loss prevails.
Damn. Should have packed my parka.
Cooling complete.
Straight away I get tree hiding. Very nice.
No. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. I got stuck on a liquor.
Come on, Wolf, come play.
I should just get that guy would have been faster.
So much for the lead.
So a lot of things you'll notice from this run in general is that this is basically Metal Gear Solid 1 remade for the GameCube, but on MGS2's engine, so you'll see a lot of the first-person shooting, the M9 for instance. And will you now use what we know as hang-in, which is in MGS2, where basically we can drop down here, and this makes this a lot more quicker process than what you would have seen in the original MGS1. We have to go all the way around and then down the stairs. Oh, RNG Steam, no.
Gotta find that antiviral agents.
So I'm probably on the third boss fight. There's 4 boss fights in the player A campaign, 5 boss fights in player B. Same for Leon. On 120, you would use 5 handgun bullets and 3 knives. On 60, you have to use interactive. Oh, sorry. On 60, you use 7 spark shot rounds and
God.
a full health.
The antiviral
If you're lucky.
agent. Gotta get back to Sherry.
Class A breach detected. Until target is neutralized.
And now we fight Raven, who was in the tank from earlier. This fight, people, if you don't know the speedrun strat, it can be like a little bit difficult. If you know the speedrun strat, you're like, hell, this is easy.
That was actually good RNG. That's not though. I don't know how that missed. I think he phases here. Yeah, that's not great. So one of those spark shots must have missed his eye, and it didn't pop.
I feel like this is the first mistake you've made the whole run.
I've gotten incredibly lucky throughout most of the run.
That's not what I like to hear. G3 is honestly like the scariest fight in that game.
Yeah, it was actually the fight I was worried the most for. Come on, can you... Mainly because I don't know how to do... Okay, I got used for the tournament thing. I think we're just gonna... Yeah, I think we're just gonna have to shoot him. I disagree, sir. It's fine.
Just did that strat perfectly, and that's not an easy one. And we're now going into what's like a very like reset heavy section, and it's very like precise, but basically what we're going to do is what we call like it's like a hanging drop catch, but it's very precise on your timing, and it's an instant death if you don't get it right. So bless RNG and hope this works. And we got it. Nice. I lost where the power key was though. And now, big difference between the remake and the original of Metal Gear Solid. In the original Metal Gear Solid, you do a lot of backtracking for the power key in terms of changing the color. So you've got blue, red, and yellow. Red is hot, blue is cold, and yellow is room temperature. So they change. It's got it's called shape memory alloy, where basically it changes. No, Snake, what have you done? Yeah, so basically it changes based on the temperature of the key.
Please don't break. Oh, come on. Don't phase. Please pop.
So that was a bit of a mistake by me. Yeah, we're supposed to shoot that camera. I completely forgot about that camera.
Oh! Ooh!
So yeah, in the original, we backtrack all the way back to where we fought Raven, and then back to the blast furnace we've seen at the start of this sort of area. But on the remake, we get a nice little bonus where we don't have to do all that backtracking. And we have these little two pipes here. Oh no, Snake.
You got this, Snake.
This is all for content, okay?
You got this.
Content.
Throw it for content, exactly.
Yeah, I didn't make a mistake at G3. I was just throwing for content. So the first fight, occasionally, the spark shot's a bit finicky. I don't entirely know if I was actually off. I think I was off. I heard it sparking, I thought it hit his leg eye, but I might have been off by a little bit. Sometimes the hitbox doesn't like to register. It's a thing that happens.
Yeah, so, and for those that don't know about this, because of this skip in Twin Snakes, there is actually a bounty amongst the Metal Gear Solid speedrunners community, where if you do find a skip in the original, you can get yourself $1,000. So, you glitch hunters, you go and do your thing.
Forgot that you have to push the button on Claire. Leon, it just opens. I run too many categories in this game. Oh yeah, also duplicate jackets. We have 2 Claire jackets. Just because of the costume, it happens. It's just amusing.
Nothing like making sure your outfits match in the middle of a zombie apocalypse or whatever's going on in Resident Evil.
Exactly. Gotta have.
I reckon they texted before, like, "What are you wearing today?"
So another smaller optimization is you hold this door open for Sherry. It's slightly faster because otherwise she has to push it open for herself. I'm a bit nervous going into this next section, though. I only have 1 handgun ammo. But there's a handgun ammo pickup, so I'm going to just not miss. Oh, also, you just leave Sherry behind. You're very interested in protecting her, and then you just leave her with those monsters that one hit kill you. Bye, Sherry.
At least she doesn't just sit down like she does in the original.
And then she just teleports. Kind of crazy.
Of course. The stupid thing's locked. Hold on. Sherry, what are you...
I think I can open it from the other side.
God damn it, your timing sucks.
Detonation.
I got it! Huh. Nice work, Sherry.
We make it.
Oh.
Sherry, you hanging in there?
And now we face Metal Gear Rex,
Think we're almost
where we
there.
stand in like a specific position and he can't hit us. It's a very interesting tech.
Worth a try.
But the Stinger's auto aim can be very painful, as you can just see what it did to me there.
This is the last boss fight for Claire A. Or for A scenarios. Keep referring to it as the character, but it's well, I guess technically Claire A has a different final boss than so time will be coming up on the cutscene after dying, after he dies.
Detonation.
And then we've just found out the ninja. Well, we sort of knew already, but Ninja is Grey Fox. And he is doing us one last favour, as Grey Fox was one of Snake's old friends that became enemies. They actually fought each other on the battlefield before.
Actually, that was incredibly close. The strats, generally, he'll die when you throw that hand grenade. I just missed an eye. My first knife slash was really bad. And... time.
Nice. GG.
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 And the specific tech for the second Rex fight is you wait to hear the end of Liquid's scream and then you shoot again. So that's the exact frame you shoot on. Makes it as quick as possible. Now we're going to go for what's called lottery roll. There's a reason it's called lottery roll. It's very hard to do and it's very rare. And it takes a lot of health off if you get it right, but it's very hard to perform. Liquid is not being nice to us today. But nice there we go.
Is that all? Hurry!
And now we're on to the final stretch of the game, so we're literally just escaping. The place is about to go boom. We don't want to be here when that happens.
Does that make Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes in Metroidvania?
We kind of have the same thing where we both at the end of the game have a 10-minute timer before the place goes bang.
Snake, climb in. Let's go. Use the weapon to fire that machine gun. Shoot back with it, Snake.
Have you ever seen what's at the end of the 10-minute timer?
No, I actually haven't. I'm interested to do it.
I'm gonna assume it's a game. But it might have a cutscene as well, you know. It might have a cutscene and then a game over screen.
Now you know what you're doing tomorrow.
Oh,
Spend
yeah.
10 minutes watching a timer tick down.
You know, now that you mention, I don't think I've ever seen the timer tick down for Resident Evil 2 Remake either. I'm assuming it just explodes. I'm not sure if there's a special cutscene or not, though.
So yeah, we just knocked Liquid off the top of Metal Gear Rex and somehow he still survived, even though in the cutscene in the fight he said, at this height, it will kill even you. So apparently not him though. Guy just doesn't know when to quit. He's a bit like speedrunners really. We have our runs die and we still don't know when to quit. But yeah, this is basically you want to get your optimal hits on him, but anytime he hits you, you're losing time, but the only time you're not going to lose time is if what you do is basically have a trade-off, so you hit each other at the same time. That's when you're like, okay, I didn't lose time, because that's fine. And now we've basically finished game, just got to skip a few cutscenes. And that is time. Basically, all we have to do now is skip through credits. Luckily, if you want emulator, we're allowed to hold tab, and it skips through it really fast.
GG, Snake.
GG.
And it gives you a nice, really big remix to The Best Is Yet to Come.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for being here. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you for more content?
Yeah, I'm very focused on Resident Evil 2 Remake that you've just seen from the Shane at the moment. So you can catch me at twitch.tv/snakesocon_.
And I'm currently on a Resident Evil 7 grind, and you can catch me at twitch.tv/Chain33. And thanks for having us over. It was great. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Good memes in the run, too. I was very happy. It was a very good run until G3.
Yeah, you did a very good performance. I forgot to put the ketchup down at the cell escape because I was looking at chat.
Alright, GG, everyone.
Awesome. Well, chat, if you and your friends want to do something like this, I'm posting something right now. There's a link. Please submit your ideas because let me tell you, sometimes putting these races together is kind of a challenge. So luckily these two submitted this idea so that, they did the hard work for me. But, get your friends together, put together a race, and we'll get you on here. That's it for What's Faster tonight. Don't go anywhere, though, because Grudge Match is coming up right after this. There's going to be a couple of races tonight, Dragon Darch and Cantaloupe Me. And then after that will be Nuclear versus Spike Vegeta. And I have it on good authority that one of the games tonight is a bootleg of some kind, which should be pretty fun. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you on What's Faster again in a couple of weeks. And have a good evening.